Hello everyone, it's Pixo, your French tier list fan. As you know, I love tier lists. I love them so much that I could even rank tier lists themselves. If you are also a fan of tier lists, just welcome, you're in the right place. Today, we are diving into the tier list of all the spells in Heroes of Might and Magic 1. Reminder, as always, this tier list is 100% personal. It's based entirely on my experience, my feelings after spending hundreds of hours on this game, especially during my childhood and yet so far in my campaign doing on YouTube in French, of course. Hello French listeners. Whether you agree or completely disagree with my rankings, don't hesitate to share your opinions, your thoughts in the comments. That's what matters the most. Passionate debates are the art of Heroes community. Finally, if you enjoy my videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's super encouraging for me. Alright, let's go. Let's dive in. A small introduction before we dive into this list today. In Heroes 1, spells work quite uniquely. Okay? To learn a spell in this first game, you need a mage guild and a spell book. But you also need to click specifically on the mage guild to visit the mage guild to actually learn the spell. Any hero can learn any spell as long as they have their spell book. The number of spells you can cast depend on your knowledge stats. It's pretty basic. 1 point of knowledge, 1 cast. Spell duration or damage they do is based on the spell power, and there are 4 magic levels per guild. Even from the first game, we had spells we could use in combat or in the adventure map. A small addition, important note, in Heroes 1, you cannot stack 2 different status changing spells. Let me explain to you. On an allied enemy unit, for example, if you cast blind on an enemy unit, for example, it can be countered by another spell like bless, and it will cancel the previous spell, okay? The opposing spell. So you can have 2 spells at one time. That's a very important fact because, of course, it will influence your way to cast spell. Now, let's go. No further talk. We go for the first spell and we start with something very huge. Something you can see. Something very huge is View All, a level 4 spell that literally lets you see the entire map, everything on the map, artifacts, tons, heroes, allied enemy, resources, mine. Whoa! That's huge. Being able to have literally all the info is just insane. The game without Fog of War feels almost like using a cheat code. Aside from the horrible map readability that it gives, it's like very tiny and not very readable. It's definitely a A+ tier, almost a S tier. You're always happy to have this tier. It's a very A+ tier, maybe except at the very end of the game where it's useless. But, well, it's not the absolute spell, it's not that OP, but clearly a game changer. Honestly, if you say S tier, I totally understand and agree with you. But seriously, the readability of the map is like crazy. It doesn't remove the Fog of War, of course. So you have to put it in perspective. It's not that OP, but it's very, very strong and can really change the game. It's a really game changer. We move on to the first combat spell, and it's a level 2 spell, surprisingly level 2. It makes one single ally, only one unit, immune to magic, basically giving any unit the special ability of dragons. Even a peasant can become a dragon. Well, almost. But it's limited to 1 turn per spell point. You have a spell that can be very powerful and useful, especially against a magic-oriented hero. It can protect your favorite unit, your power stack, or you can use it before a spell that hits everyone, like a Storm or Armageddon. It's a very cool play. I hesitate between A+ and S neg, but I will say it's a A+. plus. It's a plus. It's not better than View of All. So, but for a level 2 spell, it's very amazing. Let's say considering the level effectiveness of a usefulness of a spell, it's an easy A tier for now because there's so much amazing stuff to rank afterward. You can put it in exceptional either rank, but it's truly a great spell. Okay. Well, speaking of the devil, let me introduce you to the game Atomic Bomb Armageddon. Boom! If you put a worm before it, it's Worms Armageddon. What the? Jokes aside, one of the most emblematic combat spell of the series due to this insane power. It's an ultimate spell. You got a mage guild level 4. Sorry, I spoke in French. You get to have a mage guild level 4, so it's hard to get or grab from a captured town. But once you have it, holy moly, everyone takes cover, deals 50 times your spell power in damage to all units on the battlefield. Needless to say, if you have dragons or powerful wizard hero with anti-magic on your big stack, it's party time. It clearly opens up the suicide Armageddon run strategy to weaken your opponents before a big fight. It honestly can break the game. Plus, it's a very classy spell. It clearly put a solid S tier. It's still S- tier because you have to niche it sometimes. But if you have all the conditions to execute it well with your dragons, it can be very blowing your enemy down. Okay. Let's go to view artifacts. Well, it's a level 2 spell that reveals the location of all artifacts on the map. Not useless, but really not that useful either. Okay, artifacts generally are strong in Heroes 1 and have a nice impact on the game, but the spell itself is pretty niche and won't revolutionize your adventure. It's not trash, but really not essential either. Far from it. You're always a bit sad to find it in your guild instead of another more useful level 2 spell, so it's a C tier. I think it's not that useless, but it's not that powerful. It's quite a D tier, but it's C- tier. Let's go for Berserker! Wow, the introduction of one of the most broken spells in the game, potentially capable of ruining your battle if you have nothing to counter it. In Heroes 1, it forces a targeted unit to randomly attack one of the nearest creature, ally or enemy, so not only does your creature to become uncontrollable, but it can potentially attack your own allied stack, which will retaliate and cause losses on 2 stacks! It's totally insane when used. Incredibly powerful when used correctly. Its duration depends on 2 factors. 1 turn multiplied by your spell power, or until the affected unit attacks something, and poof, it vanishes. Amazingly strong. Spell that can decide the outcome of a single battle, and the end battle too. It's an easy S tier, and I put it in front of Armageddon because it's really game-changing and not very niche. Not as niche as Armageddon. I meant Armageddon is not that niche. Okay. Once you find it, you adapt your strategy, of course. And now let's gaze to one of my favorite spells in the entire franchise. You got the holy moly Chalice of Bless, one of the heroes of Might and Magic most iconic spells. I don't know exactly why, but for me, Bless is absolutely emblematic of the entire series. I just love this spell. I can practically hear it in my head when I see that Chalice, and I feel so good whenever it's cast. I don't know why I love this spell. This spell allows the target unit to deal maximum damage within its damage range. It's potentially devastating on a power stack with a light damage range like unicorns, like wolves, or paladins, of course. Honestly, I have a pretty irrational love for this spell. For the level 1 spell, it's really, really fantastic. However, due to Heroes 1 mechanics of spell, I can only target one unit, making it easily countered in some cases by another spell that can cancel it if you don't use it well. I'd say Bless is somewhere between B and A tier, but overall I'm going to put it in A tier because for a level 1 spell it's an incredibly cool one, consistently useful. It's a level 1 spell, yes, as I said before, and I love it. I just love it. I would smack it, and I love the animation in Urusu, but this will be for another tier list, of course. Let's continue with mythical spells of the game, one of the most powerful. Here we have a level 2 combat status changing spell. We got Blind! A blinded unit can't do anything unless it gets deblinded by another spell. Yes, another spell can unblind, of course, because no possibility of 2 changing or get attacked, at which point the unit can retaliate though. Otherwise, it skips its turn for as many rounds as your spell power allows it. It's extremely useful for neutralizing a powerful enemy stack until you are ready to deal with it and give a ton of damage, or just get your strong units beneath the blinded unit. However, it can be easily countered if another spell is cast on the blinded unit. Thus, it's powerful but not entirely overpowered like in a further episode. For me, Blind comfortably sits in A tier, and I will look at this. Look at this, isn't it wonderful? You have you have Blind and Viewable just beside. It's magical. It's magical. It's an easy S tier. It's like. Is it like better than Viewable? I don't think so. I prefer Viewable. In Heroes 1 I speak. Yes, you always be glad to have it, though it doesn't quite reach the S tier. And yes, I think we got it. Let's go for Cure, a level 2 spell. I don't know about you, but when I see the icon of the spell, I immediately think a healing spell that lets units recover HP. No? Wrong! This spell only removes negative effects from your units. Honestly, it's pretty disappointing. Most of the time, you will have something better to cast or to counter. Whatever negative effects your unit is facing, you want to put a benefic effects like Bless instead of Cure. And it doesn't even restore any HP, which feels like a basic expectation for a spell like this. And in Heroes 2 it will be possible. For me, this is really mediocre. It's super niche, it's an easy D tier. It's not entirely useless, but definitely not useful. Not enough to deserve a C tier. Don't mess around, yak. And then let's add Haste to Cure, and you get Curse. Oh, another very iconic spell of the series. Curse reduces an enemy unit's damage to a minimum within its damage range. To the minimum, sorry. And I've always struggled with ranking Curse because honestly it can be pretty useful, but it's clearly not as strong as other options. You often prefer casting something else. It's kind of a default good spell. You are not unhappy to have it, but it's nothing extraordinary. I'm hesitating between B and C tier. Well, let's use my silly alphabetical logic and I put it in C tier. Like Curse, you know. The fact it targets only one unit is somewhat disappointing. Overall, it doesn't quite measure up to the others, compared to the others, so let's go in C tier. It's a C++ tier, but not much, I think. Let me know in the comments if you don't agree, but don't remember of the non-cumulative status. And when you got Dimension Door, DD, let's put it in D tier, Dimension Door. No, I'm joking. Calm down. It's a joke, of course. It's an easy S plus tier. Let's stop for a moment on this spell. Just looking at it makes you feel like you're entering in another dimension. You know it well. Dimension Door literally breaks the entire map. Seeing this glowing yellow portal in the middle of a dolmen warms your heart, and it potentially wins you the game as it unlocks endless possibilities. Fantastic S tier spell if you have enough knowledge to cast it multiple times and movement points to optimize it. It's the spell of Heroes 1, it's the number one spell of Heroes 1. This Dawn Portal doesn't have its destination choice mechanic yet. Simply put, an amazing spell. It's an amazing spell. Now, after... Okay. we have a very, very uninteresting spell to come after one of the most enthusiastic one. You got Dispel Magic, level 1 spell. This spell actually removes all active spells, positive or negative, from every unit on battlefield, friend or foe. Personally, I'm not a big fan. It has some niche utility, particularly if you are facing a spell-heavy opponent and have a limited magical abilities yourself, which is very rare. Still, it doesn't stack up well compared to other spells. I'd put it alongside the Cure. It's rarely your best option, so into D tier it goes. I'd rather have something else in my spellbook, to be honest. And yeah. I think it deserves maybe more than the Q spell because it can have some big plays, but very, very niche one. Okay? Now let's move on to one of the deceptive spells you can find in the game, Fireball. Level 3 spell. Fireball does actually 10 times your spell power in damage to units in its radius. Honestly, it's not amazing. Sure, it can be useful early on if you have high spell power, but it scales very poorly as the game progresses. Its effectiveness is very situational, depending heavily on troop placement. I'm placing it firmly in C tier, and yes, you will. It's better than that, of course, and maybe better than Curse because at least it deals damage, but yes, you will often feel very disappointed by the Fireball. Now let's move on to Haste. Haste, level 2 spell. Haste immediately increase a unit's speed to fast instead of slow. It's a maximum speed. I really like this spell as it opens great strategic spell place. However, due to Heroes 1 small battlefields and potential obstacles, it's not always fully effective. Still, giving priority to a slower unit, it can be very useful. I'd rank it in B tier and in a solid B tier. Let's go for here. I think, but well, due to the system, yes, I think it's better like this. Yes, it lacks of the mass effect you can have in later Heroes game. You know, when you can mass haste, mass slow, etc., which would definitely elevate it in A or even S tier in this case, but that's not the case in Heroes 1. Now let's move on to View of Heroes. View of Heroes lets you locate all the heroes on a poorly readable map, including those hidden Fog of War. By Fog of War, I mean it's quite useful. For informed decision making, crucial in Heroes games, solid A tier I think. View the position of your enemy, it's very very vital to take good decision. I would put it in low A tier. I think it's not that important, it's not that game changing, but it's pretty strong. Yes. Identify hero. Woo. It's a level 3. It's a level 3 spell, which is maybe too much for a spell like that. It actually brings you the possibility to view all stats and precise troop numbers of an enemy hero for one day. It's useful, but slightly less essential than view of heroes, in my opinion. It's like a very good B tier. I would say a B plus tier. You will use it less frequently than other adventure map spell, but it can be helpful for gauging enemy strength and, well, choose the good spot to attack. The good timing, I mean. And now you got the Lightning Bolt, a level 2 spell, which is huge. Despite its ugly flame animation in Heroes 1, not even a nice bolt, you know, a nice lightning bolt, it's like a flame. What? It deals 25 times your spell power damage to a single stack unit. It's a lifesaver. It's a lifesaver in tough early to mid-game battles and remain useful late game. It's especially against range units of your enemy if you are not a great spellcaster who can deal another spell damages. It's definitely a A tier. I've got a real spark on this spell, and yes, I think no. I think it's better than the status changing, but well, okay. It's not better than View of All, to be honest. And now you gotta deal with a Meteor Shower. 25 your spell damage, but in a diamond-shaped area of 7 hexes. It's essentially an AoE lightning bolt, powerful in a magician hand or a warlock, you know, a sorceress, a powerful magician, a spellcaster with high spell power. It's a solid A plus tier. Yes, throwing rocks against an opponent is always fun to do, so it's an easy A plus tier, and not better than View. I think I love the View of everything, so definitely not as exciting. View of Minds. Okay, now boring. Oh, it's so boring. All right, excitement. Yes, excitement level clearly dropping now. This adventure spell is what I'd call a semi-flop. View of Minds, it's a level 1 that allows you to, drumroll, see minds. On an horribly cluttered map, destroying your eyesight, trying to spot any potentially useful mind. Honestly, when you see it in your mage guild, well, you are just disappointed. I place it firmly in D tier. Overall, useless. Extremely niche usage, nice ranking for it, and yes, it can show you where your opponent's castle can be, because you see on the map, you say, well, you got the mines just around here, so your opponents could be even here, but to be honest, I don't like it. D tier, easy D tier. Now we are talking. Let's move to an incredible spell of Heroes 1 and Heroes 2 exclusivity only. It's Paralyze. It's a level 3 spell that works like a blind, but if you attack the target, you deparalyze the target. However, unlike blind, it can't retaliate. Essentially a super version of blind, very strong, but not OP. It's an A++ tier because paralyzing a fast enemy troop can significantly impact and potentially ruin the game. It's definitely powerful. I would say it's not that A++ tier. I think I'm not saying it right now, but it's at least better than Blind, of course. Better, yes, better than Lightning Bolt. I think it's the right spot. Now we move to Protection, a highly useful level 1 spell that boosts your allied's defense by +3. Given the impact that stats have in Heroes 1, this spell demands respect. I'd say it's oscillating between B+ tier and A- tier. I'm really hesitating. I will put it in B++ tier. That's not that exciting, but yes, pretty essentially useful. Okay, we move to View Resources. You remember the semi-flop you felt seeing View Mines in your Mage Guild. So imagine what could possibly lower your excitement even further. It's View Resources! A depressing spell showing every resource pile on the map. It's kind of meh, it's kind of very boring and not useful at all. It's an easy D tier and it's lower than the View Mines, so it's very, very trash. Very trash. Now we move to Resurrection. We are back in very interesting spells. Iconic series spells. Level 3 spells. A lot of spells. In Heroes 1 it simply restores 50 HP multiplied by your spell power to a creature stack that suffered losses. It's potentially very strong. Plus you have Ultimate Resurrection, meaning resurrected units remain alive after battle. A potential game changer and fairly easy to acquire. It's an easy S tier and I would put it just right here. Its only downside compared to later installments, you can't resurrect a corpse since there are no corpse in Heroes 1. When you kill a unit, it just vanishes, so you must resurrect units still visible on the battlefield even if there is only one creature left. Keep that in mind, it's not as OP as in later installments. Now we move to Slowness, Eeriness. A very useful level 1 spell, one of the most useful that can cripple an enemy stack, whether foot soldiers or flyers, because the flyers will do poof poof and won't reach you in the battlefield. It's very strong, very useful. It's an easy A++ tier and can be really game changing. Yes, let's put it in front of Viewwall. It's like a S tier, but not that effective because again in Heroes 1 you can accumulate status. If you slow unit, it can be countered by another spell, but at least it's very useful. Yes, I would put it in easy A++ tier, and you lack of the mass effect that can place it in S tier. It's excellent for kiting or undermining enemy speed advantage. Well, great spell. Now we move to the Storm. It's like a mini Armageddon, dealing 25 damage per spell power to all units. So it's half Armageddon, to be honest. And of course, it can deal damage on all units, including yours, of course, bien sûr. It's French for of course, bien sûr. Strategy is simple. You get a powerful mage, add one magic immune on you add one magic immune dragon or unit under anti-magic protection. You cast Storm and you can secure a win in early and mid game. It's not as strong as Armageddon and not always usable, but it allows you interesting strategies such as weakening the enemy by sacrificing scouts. Woo! Definitely strong. It's an easy, I think, A tier, but not a very powerful A tier. I would put it just here. I think it's his place. Summon bot. You guys, you hear summon bot. You think that it will summon a bot. But no. It just doesn't summon a bot. It's an easy to use adventure map spell, letting you board an empty bot, existing bot, directly in front of you. So it's quite handy, provided bots exist. Nothing extraordinary. Notably, it cannot create and summon a bot like a master level in Heroes 3. For Heroes 1, it's C plus tier or very B minus tier. It's not that useless, but seriously, you are not that happy to have it. To be honest, maybe it's a C tier. Let's put it in C tier, in fact. It's not that useful. Yes, I think it's a C tier. Yes. In Heroes 1, it's a real C tier. Okay? Teleport! And you don't see it because it's not fitting in the tier list. Now, this is an exciting combat spell, level 3 spell, allowing spectacular plays. You can imagine the big plays with teleporting your Hydras for their deadly multi-X attack strike, and Cyclops for optimal double X strikes. It's exceptionally useful for breaking enemy formations, to avoid the obstacles. It's definitely an A++ tier, possibly not quite S tier, but extremely debatable. And because it's not changing status, I will put it in front of slow, because it really can change and break the combat. Okay, the fight. And now we move to Tongate. Okay, when I was a child, I actually love to have this spell, but it's not that powerful. It's useful, but significantly weaker compared to later installments. Whether you can choose your destination, it saves some movement. So, yes, when you want to go back easily in your village or your castle, it can be good. So I'd put it A- tier. I think it's not that useful. It could easily drop to B tier, but given its limited practical use in Heroes 1, well, it's like you can gain some movement points. It can be useful, but it's not that OP. It's still better than View of Heroes, I think, but not better than this, I think. Now we move to View of Towns, an adventure map spell locating all enemy castles and towns. Very useful compared to other view spells, except for View Wall, of course, sparking renewed interest since knowing enemy position let you focus your forces strategically. Lets you focus your forces strategically and plan ahead for weekly creature spawns. Clearly a strong spell, family A tier. I think it's here. No. Let's put it in here. Yes. I think it's very, very useful. Okay? Like you are on the end. You are quite at the end of the week, and you want to take the enemy turn. You want to see if you can do it, and yes, it can be really a game breaking. And then you get the growth of the castle you are able to pick because it's near. So yes, it's very useful. And to finish this tier list, we got turn Undead. Woo. A somewhat niche yet valuable spell, specifically against the Frightening Ghost of Heroes 1, instantly destroy an entire stack of ghosts regardless of the number. Pretty strong! Pretty strong! It oscillates between B and A tier. I think it's a very B plus tier. It's not A tier, it's very B plus tier. And well, still, yes, annihilating a full ghost stack guaranteed is, yes, very satisfying. And that's a wrap for this tier list. I hope you enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, and most importantly, share your thoughts in the comments. See you next one. Bye bye.